Welcome to the Power of Self-Evolution. This is Karen Lovely, and I felt it so necessary to podcast and speak about the devastating, horrific, horrendous, tragic wildfire situation here. I mentally feel strong, but I realized a couple days ago my mood and my energy is very somber and like blah blah, because my heart is broken in terms of personally having to relive a possible evacuation, and thinking of evacuating all my animals. So that is traumatic, and getting the emergency evacuation warning, and then there was glitches in technology apparently, and we were getting false alerts. And at one point, and on several occasions, and at one point we got the alert. I thought everything was calm. I needed to rest, and I got the alert, and I could just feel like my nervous system like shut down. And it's one thing when I went through it the first time for the fire evacuation, because I've also been evacuated for mudslides, but the fire evacuation, it came out of nowhere, so I had nothing to expect. I had no waiting period. It was just go, go, go. So in a way, there was a different type of shock, but now having gone through it, the brain is a prediction machine. It's predicting, it's waiting. And so from the moment I saw these fires break out, I gathered all my belongings, started packing up stuff, and most of the stuff is packed, like ready to go already, but then I needed to get like the essential things as if I were about to travel on a trip, and then think about all the animals. So it's just a lot, but when I saw that alert, it just, like, it was a weird sensation that I've never really blatantly experienced before. And so then that's when I took a moment to think about what's really wrong here, or why am I feeling this way, which is the number one thing you want to do in any type of crisis, no matter what it is, no matter how large or small, is you've got to take a moment to just allow the feelings to emerge without trying to resist them. And the beautiful thing about the human brain, when it comes to survival, it will help to protect us against getting too emotional, for the most part, so that hopefully the fear triggers the fight-flight mechanism, which we need to survive, especially in these serious, highly detrimental circumstances. Is you gotta either fight or flee the situation, and mostly it's flee and evacuate. Excuse me. And so that part of the brain will override a lot of the emotions in order to survive. Now, that said, if that brain isn't able to override, and we're struck with too many incoming emotions without knowing how to process, it causes paralysis. And now we're paralyzed. And then we don't move one way or the other. And a lot of times this is what causes people to maybe try to get out of their homes, not know what to take, they're paralyzed. I went through this the first time. I was frozen there for a moment, and thank God I had a mentor and emotional, mental support. And so that's what helped me. So I was able to talk with him and then figure out also what was really happening for me. And it was just the past traumas that the brain will draw upon and bring them up to the forefront. And it was so overwhelming. There was so much data in my brain trying to remember the past traumas, and then tied to all the emotions, it caused me to freeze. And it didn't take long. It was a quick conversation. Thank God I didn't have to run out of my house with my animals and try to figure out my horses. But it was, I had time to just talk. It maybe took 20, 30 minutes to just talk about. I talked about it, and then I myself figured out what the deeper issue, the unconscious, subconscious issues that were really causing me to feel paralyzed. And once I realized it was just the past trauma, feeling like, what do I do? What if? And I, that was like, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. I don't remember the exact cause, but I know it had to do with me going through the loss of my sister and feeling so isolated and alone, like nobody could understand, nobody could help me, nobody could like bring her back. Like, it's all the past trauma, but that's like the biggest, most impactful trauma. And that data started to come back up with unconsciously. We have no conscious awareness of this happening. It's like this phenomenon that occurs. So the brain can like draw upon that information, to help us survive the situation right now. But what it does is it's also tied to all the negative emotions, which causes us to freeze and not know what to do. And so when I realized, the conscious mind can override it. Okay, that was then, this is now, it's not the same. This is what happens when, it's just like Mother Nature, or it's just conditions we have no control over, weather, winds. It's one of those risks of living in the state of California. So what happened was, the moment I realized the unconscious fear, like consciously going back and going, okay, what is this really about? And digging deep, which is everything that my work is based on, and my teachings and my coaching and my own personal practices. I was able to say, oh, okay, that's all that's happening right now, is my survival brain is just trying to help me, but it wasn't helping me. It was causing me to freeze. My conscious mind, once I realized the fear, it started to disengage that actual fear phenomenon. And which, when we're triggered in fear, it shuts off all the signals to the part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, where we can make critical decisions and we can think clearer and more logistically, have more logic and rationale. See, that's gone when we're triggered into fight, flight, freeze mode. And so the fear mechanism shuts off all the signals so it can just focus on survival. So once I realized the root fear, I was then able to reconnect to my logic and rationale, and then I could get into action and start packing up the important things that I thought I needed to pack up in that first evacuation. So that's what helped me keep going and prepare. And I use that as a template throughout the whole process of actually being evacuated, getting all my animals. And it was like a big blur, and that part of the brain that just kept me going and kept me like, okay, next step, next step, next step. Pack up the chickens, pack up the dogs, pack up, and of course, I was so blessed that people come out to help and volunteer to haul the horses. And so that's actually how I met my dear friends that help me now. They showed up, which was a blessing, and were able to help. Actually, no, that was the second time. Oh my gosh. The first time, it was just these generous angels that showed up and just said, we're here to help you get your horses in and go. And it was such a blur. And they just dropped all my animals off so they could run and get the next set of animals for the next person who needed it. And that was second. It was the mudslides. No? Oh my God, I can't remember. It doesn't matter. There were blessings along the way. I want to focus on this survival mechanism that must kick in and actually works in our favor to help survive. And there's a point we got to feel our emotions, right? But when it's safe to do so, it's the time that it's not safe is when it's urgent and you just need to get yourself, your family, your animals out of the fire situation and go. You can't sit tight and like feel your feelings at that point. You just got to kick into survival mode, which again, the brain is hardwired for this. But it has to be counteracted if people get too emotional and they freeze. And so it's just about act, be in action. Don't worry about your stuff. Don't worry about your materialism. Don't worry about any of that. Only worry about lives. Life. So that would be humans and animals. Those are the things you grab and you go. And as hard as it is to lose the materialism, it's not what really matters. And so I can't stress that enough, is how important like life is. And I'm getting emotional right now because it's all of this has been so overwhelming, and I have had to be on high alert to evacuate in a moment's notice and still do life, where the first time around you're just doing your life and it happens. So it's good news, bad news, like that. I'm not saying it was better, it's just different. This time it's like we're all in my area on high alert, just in case. And then we have to follow the news, and just in case the fires and the embers, like all of it could just happen at any moment. It's emotional, it's draining, it's a lot. And then, I mean, more importantly, there's my survival, my family's survival, but my heart is so broken for all of those who've lost so much, especially all the animals that could not be rescued and the people who, for whatever reasons, perished. It's like so much to deal with emotionally, especially because I'm very sensitive, extremely empathic, meaning I just feel the pain and the weight and and then I can relate because have been in the situation, but I can't relate to losing everything, like your home, everything inside the home possible, animals. I mean, that I can't imagine, but my heart, it just goes out to all of those people and all the first responders and the firemen and everyone working, all the civic leaders, and goes out to every single human. And then we're all affected. It doesn't matter if you live, across the globe. And of course, everybody has their stuff to deal with to some degree or another. It will impact indirectly the people who aren't even here, because if they have feelings and emotions, they're going to feel like so sad for others going through such horrific circumstances. And I felt it so necessary to talk about, to help in a little bit in my own way, because the biggest thing that has to be stressed is, in the midst of handling the survival part physically and making sure your life is safe and your human lives are safe and animal lives are safe, is having the mental and emotional support to work through this. Like, that has always been my saving grace. It's a thing that has helped to save my own life, to give me the opportunity to choose to want to live, right, and not take my own life. Having come from low-grade chronic depression and not understanding my life and why I was here on this earth and this planet, and working through all of that. And the biggest thing is understanding understanding why I felt so empty inside, why I felt so broken and wounded and fragile, and why I hated myself, and transforming that into, the more I understood, the more I could accept myself, the more I could love myself unconditionally, especially for who I wasn't, who I wished I could be but could never be. That is one of the hardest things to deal with, in terms of self-worth, self-love, self-acceptance, is loving ourselves for who we wish we could be but will never be. And so the mental health, the emotional health, getting the therapy, the support, people to talk to, focusing on, during these times, how you can make sure you're mentally, emotionally, spiritually fortified, and how you can get that support to help you heal and move through the devastation. And if it doesn't affect you directly, you're going to see it. You're going to see it on the news. You're going to drive by it. You're going to know someone who knows someone. I mean, I do know someone, a friend, he lost everything. But thank God his life is he's still alive, and his life is spared, and he evacuated and took what was most important to him. And I mean, I just am overwhelmed with emotions of gratitude, but also of sadness and grief, and knowing what it's like to have to evacuate, and trying to maintain my positivity, my optimism, my hope. And I do believe that these things happen, maybe as a test, but it does have us get so many things that are much more important in the big scheme of life, is the community, the support, banding together. And yes, there are the evil, wicked people that try to take advantage of this situation, but that's because they are even more maliciously broken and wounded. And so, but thank God that is the minority of humans taking advantage of these desperate times. But for the most part, we get to see people banding together, people showing up to help, and the most touching thing was this friend of mine had just said, "Are you being evacuated?" Texted me, and I said no. And he had mentioned he was being evacuated, and I said, "Oh my gosh, there's anything you need?" But I said, "No, we're just on high alert, and I'm waiting." And then he said, "Well, if you need any help moving your animals, let me know." Like, he's evacuated. He's close to where he would lose his home, and he's offering to help me move my animals, is just like so noble, and so like, that is just such a blessing. And it shows how incredibly compassionate and caring and empathetic that he is, that he could, come out of his own circumstances to be of service and help someone like me. And of course, whatever I can do to support him in the best way that I know is with the mental, emotional, spiritual support, first and foremost. And I just, in these times, I feel sad and not my hippie skippy self because of the energy and like knowing what could happen, what it is to go through these circumstances, and how scary and painful and emotional it can be. And so it's just been really, really hard. And I even said, I have to podcast sooner, but I couldn't. I didn't feel, I could, I just felt kind of not numb, below numb, just like this is a lot. This is a lot. I got to keep going. This is a lot. And deal with the rest of my life and keep that going. So, I was trying, but it was too much. And then dealing with my own responsibilities and trying to keep up. So, but I'm here and it doesn't matter. It finally happened and here I am. And I know that I just need to put out like these little supportive podcasts to just know that I'm doing my part to help with the mental, emotional, spiritual support and understanding. Like you have to, like you can't understand. How do you even deal with your home is decimated and then one or next door or two doors down or 5 doors down, that other house is still standing? That's what blows my mind and breaks my heart the most is you don't know. You don't know. So to understand, like try to understand and how that could be. But for me going through it, the only thing I can talk from my own experience is these are the things. Like why, I had to ask, why did my sister lose her life? And so many other people have had worse circumstances and they're still alive and even thriving. That I couldn't understand. That was like so difficult for me. And to accept that, the big thing is we ultimately don't have control. Like we can think and try to control our life and our world and our circumstances, our reality. And ultimately, like accepting that we don't have control over anything or anyone in the big scheme of life. And with that, not having control, it's delusional to think we'll have any control, right? We can try to like pretty much set up our material world to think we're in control, but ultimately we are not. And so that helped me to go, wait a minute, okay, so no one's exempt from tragedy to some degree or another. And I do believe things happen for a reason. And then I had to really train myself to go, okay, it's okay, because when things like this happen, through crisis are we most motivated to change, but I like to say through crisis and chaos, do we have an opportunity to transform the situation, to come out of it better, stronger, more wise and enlightened, so that we ultimately can feel a deeper connection to self and to everyone and everything else in our lifetime before the end. And so knowing that we ultimately don't have control, it has me go spiritually. This is where then I have some solace in the spiritual connection. I'm extremely spiritual, and I do believe, somewhat in God, the universe, like higher powers that be. I do believe, and that's where I can draw in that relationship and those connections of, okay, I don't have to, but it's a choice to say, this is happening for a reason. And what are those reasons? Then I start looking for those reasons. And I'm looking for all the blessings in disguise, all the divine intervention, the nuggets, at the very least, of how this can enlighten me and give me more wisdom to ultimately live a happier life right now in this moment. And that's what really helped me. But it took years for me to get all of this, because I had to go through the process. I didn't have someone like me to help me. I had a whole bunch of other people, and then I took all the information and created what I feel like really works for me and checks every box to cover. I need to know why. I need answers. The more I understand and it resonates and it makes sense and it feels good in my body and my beingness, then that helps me to the understanding, gives me the positive perceptions and thoughts, and then that creates all the aligned positive feelings and emotions. And I keep reinforcing this over and over, is always just look for the smallest little blessing, but at first, if anyone had ever said this to me, well, maybe it would have made a difference. No one ever did when I was going through the worst of the worst in healing from my sister's slow suicide. And I call that because she just kept killing herself slowly with the drugs, the alcohol, the eating disorders. She just was killing off her body, and then it just couldn't take it anymore. And so, to heal from that took years, but it was the constant enlightenment, the constant getting answers, the constant self-development that saved my life. And it was the glimmer of hope that I had to keep going and seek the answers and seek the understanding. And then I just kept getting better and better and better and better to prepare me for things like this. And thank God, so far we're in good shape right now as we speak. But it could come at any time. An evacuation alert can come at any time for me and for all of us here in California, Southern California. And it could go to Northern California. But most likely it's not going to, because they have more rain and more precipitation. But it doesn't matter. Then something else could happen. And it's just having the awareness, the conscious awareness. And when you are in a safe place and you have a moment to just allow your feelings to come up, to cry, to, allow yourself to emote, to, punch a pillow, scream out loud, whatever you need to do, that would be the time to do it, as long as your life is not in danger and you're not in an urgent evacuation situation. Then that's when we can go to allow yourself to feel, allow yourself to have emotions, allow yourself to cry. That is probably the most healing thing that I found, is crying and allowing the tears. The fight is more anger-based, and aggression is more anger-based, but underneath that anger is always hurt and pain and sadness. And if we can go right to those feelings and just allow ourselves to feel them and express them and get them out, it's like a release, and it's so healing, and it seems so simple, and yet it's not easy, because our brain will fight us to not allow ourselves the emotions and keep us in high action mode for survival. But there are points when, again, it's safe, your environment's safe, and everyone around you safe. You all need to just allow those feelings and then start to understand that, to focus on the goodness, the lives that have been saved and spared, and the people around you and everyone who cares. Even if we don't know you personally, we care. We feel for you. We're sending you prayers and blessings and miracles. I love saying I'm sending you positive vibes, but I'm sending you so many blessings and miracles. There will be so many miracles that come out of this. We just can't see them now. And I absolutely believe that. I don't care if everyone disagrees with me. I fundamentally know, and it's happening as we speak with the whole insurance thing, is my friends are getting upset, and I'm upset about it, but I said this is what creates the conversation, so we can make new laws and hold insurance companies accountable where they legitimately need to be held accountable, and that we all can band together to change policies and to have a better system for next time. And a lot of things, this was unprecedented. There's no way we were prepared for anything like this. And, no matter what, with the water and the hydrants and the water pressure, there's no way. We had hurricane wind conditions that are unheard of, and never, ever, ever have I ever had to deal with this in California all these years riding my horses in those hills, and never did we have to deal with any of this. And I do believe in global warming, and I do feel it's getting worse, but there's no way we could predict this. It's impossible. And so this is where we get to learn and grow and do better, be better, and make changes that are ultimately going to help the community, help the planet, help, in the long run for sustainability. So that's what I focus on. I'm just saying what I do and what has saved my life and helped me to deal with a lot of chaos and crisis. And I've also, would never want to lose my materialism, but a lot of my work focuses on not using the material world to define our worth and to define who we are and define our identity. And some things are materialistically irreplaceable. They are irreplaceable. People say, well, material's replaceable. No, not the sentimental, like mementos and things that mean something to us. That is not replaceable, but I remember thinking to myself, in the wildfire, I would never want to lose my home, but I also know that if I did, that was what's meant to be, and then there's lessons to be learned there, and that the most important thing is that my family's safe, we're all safe, our lives are saved, and that's what I keep focusing on. And again, like I would never want to lose things, but I would never want to lose life. It helped me to focus on what's really, truly important. And it's life. It's being alive, breathing, and then feeling like feeling a sense of fulfillment that we can help others in time of need. And that, oh boy, all the volunteer work that I did with these women from massive trauma, sex abuse, sex trafficking, drug addiction, volunteering my time, like that was like so healing for me. And so when we can reach out, and it's okay if we have nothing in us to help, that's okay too. That is completely fine, because I know that the more we have in our heart and our soul and our core being, the more we can give, and give better, actually. And if people don't feel that they have it in them to give, that's okay. Just give to yourself. Give to your inner child. Work on you feeling good about yourself first. You don't have to help anyone else if you don't feel up to it. But the thing I would say is just be there for you. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, right? In that order. Mentally, emotionally. When I say mentals, okay, our thoughts and perceptions create our emotions and feelings. And those emotions and feelings then dictate our actions or lack thereof, our inaction, our frozenness, in that order. And so the more we can focus on the positive perceptions and perspectives, to look for the tiny little bit of goodness, of blessings, of hope. Like that's what ultimately saved my life. Is I had to think back when my friend said, I want to pay for you to do the self-development course. And I was like at the lowest low of my life. I had to think back, like what had me say yes and accept that. And I did. It was because he had brought a thought and perspective back into my own conscious awareness. It was the moment he said, I know that I don't want to give back to the world like you do, but I want to give to you. Because my dear friend, he knew how much I cared about doing something bigger for the world. Like, that's my personality. And he was admitting, that's not my thing. That is your thing. And I know that about you. And I may not want to help the world like you do, but I want to help you personally. And we need that. Yes? That triggered in me this little tiny, tiny spark of hope. That thought, like, that's what woke me up to say, oh my God, that is me. That is why I'm here. That is, and this was before I became a coach. Like, I just knew there was a greater purpose for me that I've been searching for since I was a child, a young child. And I couldn't remember that. That was the last thing on my mind. The only thing on my mind was, after this charity event that I had planned and hosted, I'm killing myself. That's where I was. And nobody knew. But he saw in me something. I mean, he knew, he's told me later, after the fact, he said, I saw the deadness in your eyes, and that was me. And I was like a walking skeleton. Like, I was just, like, dead inside. Absolutely dead. But because he said what he said, it triggered that thought, that perspective I had once had that's stored in my memory bank. That's what did it. That little spark of hope had me say yes. And it was a battle for me to even get the help. I tried to postpone getting that help. But I eventually did, because I had a friend who knew I was postponing. And she was a new friend. She barely knew me. I had met her at another relationship seminar. And I said, I think I'm going to postpone the self-development course. And she goes, what the fuck? Your life is fucked up. Fucking go. And that's what did it. Because she was right. And I couldn't justify my position at all. And I went, and that then, and here I am today. As I never stopped. As a matter of fact, I not only doubled down, I tripled down, quadrupled down, I a millionfold, a trillionfold doubled down into self-development, into transformation, into consciousness evolution, into understanding basic brain function. And here I am today, fulfilling upon what I believe all humans could benefit from, in understanding how our brain tricks us, how our thoughts are mostly myths and lies, and that the emotions that follow count but aren't, the feelings and emotions aren't what humans need. So if we have negative thoughts, emotions, perspectives, it comes with negative emotions and feelings and moods. And then those negative emotions and feelings then have us have action that doesn't serve us. It has actions that are more counterproductive than good. Actions that hurt us, sabotage ourselves, then build us up and get us what we truly want and deserve in the goodness, in our dreams, in our wishes that serve ourselves, but also then radiate outward to serve and help and inspire others. And so I'm just re-presence to all of this right now. And I feel I'm so, like, the tears that I have are sadness and grief, but the majority of my tears now are gratitude and like tied to blessings and how hard I've worked for myself and my clients and the people around me to be better within myself, to help those around me, right, to be better. And what I mean by better is to help people really deeply, profoundly, prolifically love themselves through their inner child, through their inner teenager, through understanding what it truly means to be in love with yourself, not in a egotistical way, but in a uplifting way of feeling full in our hearts, our soul, our core being. And that then, I say, fills the inner cup. I was so empty inside, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, so empty, but full physically, right, and materialistically, but empty emotionally. And so getting those cups full, it's all like one cup, getting the bucket full and filling that bucket over and over again till it runs overeth. And then that's the time that we feel freest to give back and to inspire others and to have hope. And then we can be in action, whatever that action means, physically, right? Even monetarily. Donations matter. Showing up to help people and distribute things matters. But in any which way we feel we can help others, then that just keeps the cycle of the cup getting full and then filling it back up and then it going back out and then coming back in. And that's the cycle we want to put ourselves in so that all humans can feel this and be happy from within and then outwardly, and then have that be, inspire the next person, the next person, the next person. I mean, that's really it's a fantasy. It's a dream of mine. And I'm just going to stay with it. It doesn't matter the numbers or how many people. Maybe no one will listen to this podcast because I've been very inconsistent podcasting because I've been working on some of my other dreams, which takes a lot of time and energy, plus being responsible for all of the already acquired dreams. It's just a lot. And so, even if no one listens to this, I'm listening, then this helps me to feel better so I can be better so that I can do better in that order. The more my cup is full, the more it starts to run over it, the more I can be of service to others. I tried the other way around. When my sister died, I tried to be of service to others, but I was so empty and depleted. Like I felt so decimated inside. I felt like there was nothing there. And of course I couldn't sustain it. And so through that experience, I even started a official nonprofit organization, but I couldn't mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially sustain that nonprofit organization because I was so empty and getting emptier and emptier and emptier. I was losing more of myself because I didn't have the answers. I didn't have the support. I didn't have the healing that I craved, that I was yearning for, that I wanted. And especially, I wanted it as a kid. I was a kid who said, I want therapy. And it took, losing my sister for me to finally get what I truly had been searching for, what I needed, what works, what has transformed my life and continues to transform my life. And so I can't stress enough how important it is that we attend to this area and for ourselves, regardless of what happens outside of that. And again, it's okay if your cup's full and you never want to give back. That's okay too. I'm just saying for me, that's how it works. That's the best way for me. That's most sustainable. The more my cup is full, the more I can give back out and then take in the goodness coming back. But I don't do it to get the goodness coming back. I do it because I have the fullness within me to give. And personally, it does make me feel better, but it's not the reason I do it. I'm just feeling good because I love me unconditionally. And in that, I have a lot of extra, so I might as well just, be it and have it go back out. And that's just energy. It's actually a phenomenon we don't even have to work on. It just happens. And so that said, I just want to thank all the people involved, the first responders, the firefighters. The firefighters, I am blown away. They're the real life superheroes. And then all the other civil servants that are out there first responders, the government, like council, like all of it. And then the community and all the people, that are so selfless and that could give back in time of need. The blessings are everywhere. I'm going to leave the podcast today with, I know so many miracles like this. Like, I do believe that this is the radical awakening we need for the insurance debacle in the state of California. As hard as it is, I have said it to several friends, I'm seeing it happen in real time, is it's forcing us to get it together here in the state of California, especially in the realm of insurance and coverage, all of that. But again, there's so many miracles, is it forces us to wake up and come together as humans, as a community, as a state, as a country, as a world. Yes, because what really matters is this in the end. Life, the human life is finite. It ends. And at the end of the day, this is what matters most, is the connection, the people to people, the community, the selflessness, the being of service, the compassion, the empathy, the good, the generosity. All of it matters in the end more than anything, because we can't take the materialism with us, and no one is exempt. It's a guarantee. Every human being on the planet will eventually die. And so what we get to take with us is all of this energy that I believe everything is energy, and all the goodness, the divine energy that fuels our souls, our hearts, our beingness. Like that, I believe it forces us to wake up and we have a choice to see what really matters. And that's why this is like necessary. And I try to focus as much as I possibly consciously can on all the blessings and all the positive miracles and the magic that comes out of this. And it's there, it's in process. We may not even see it for a long time, but I already know through experience that the blessings in the evacuation, the last one for the mudslides, okay, that one was worse because, not worse, sorry, it was different, worse, in that it's like pouring rain, and you can't even see in front of you. But I experienced the blessings in real time, the miracles in real time during that evacuation is the point. But it's just like I lost my horse about 4 months ago. And all those experiences had me in the process of my horse, dying right in front of me and waiting for the emergency trailer to show up to take him to the equine hospital. I learned that I kept saying, oh, I know there are blessings coming. I know there are miracles coming. No, this time it awakened me to go, the miracles were happening right in front of me in real time, even though I lost him at the hospital. The thing is, the miracles were there right in front of me. So I want to leave you with that, is like, I know it might not seem like it at all, especially if you've lost everything. But I do believe, and I'm hoping and praying and wishing that you can just see the tiniest little miracle, one step at a time, right in front of you, and then look for another one and another one and another one. And that's what really helped me, is instead I wasn't like I would say, oh, miracles are coming. They're already there, right in the moment. Like, that's what I had to train for and learn. And I do wish someone had said that to me, going through a lot of what I went through, even as a child, and all the emotional pain and anguish within me as a child, that would help, is there's just one little tiny miracle right now happening. And that one miracle, then there's a compound effect, then another one, then another blessing, and you start to feel better. And you can still be crying, because I'm crying, but I have tears of gratitude and thankfulness and seeing all the blessings around me, but I also have tears of sadness and grief and sorrow, But again, the majority of my tears now are in the blessings of it all, like in the gratitude and just being so thankful for where I am and where I'm not. In all of this, it's hard to work and be responsible for other things and grow my business or whatever I'm working on, my projects, and even riding horses and training, which is what I do. I haven't been able to do that as well because I need to be prepared to evacuate. So it's just a lot, but looking for the good instead of focusing on what is lost, focus and create thoughts of what is being gained here, what has been a blessing, and the hope and love that's being sent out from all over the world. And this time is do your best to take that in and know we may not know you, but we feel for you, we care for you, and we hope and want the best for you in these times. And everybody needs that energy no matter what, right? Even if their life isn't being compromised right now or their home, is that we can never lose if we continuously put that energy out. And then that just returns more miracles and more materialism. I mean, it's so great to see the donation centers have so much being donated right now. So many businesses are giving things away. So this is what all the goodness is. And focus on that. If you at all possibly can, I highly, suggest that you just focus on every little tiny, tiny blessing, and that's what I've been doing. And it's been helping me so much. And so I'm just wishing all humans on the planet so much love and miracles and blessings and goodness and positive thoughts and filling like humans' hearts with I guess love, but like more than that is just really having the capacity to take in all of the love that's being generated out of this around the world. So with that, thank you for listening. The power of self-evolution, the power of self-love gives us greater capacity to love everyone and everything else that we choose to love. And until we meet again, I don't know when the next podcast will be dropped, but I just thank those who listen for listening, and I just wish every single human being out there the very best of divine magic. Thank you.